Chinmu's heart trembled violently as he looked back at the horde of red-furred beasts and skeletons, which were relentless in their pursuit. These weren't mere zombies or skeletons. These were creatures twisted by the sinister methods of the corpse immortal cult. The corpse beetles that swarmed around him, like malevolent spirits, only heightened the sense of danger. These beetles controlled not only the beasts of the wild, but also the very skeletons that had risen from the burial mounds, their bones burning red like bloodied embers. With a quick understanding, Chinmu realized that the purpose of these relentless creatures wasn't to slay him, but to delay his escape, making it more likely that the expert from the Corpse Immortal cult would catch up. The expert had cultivated a deep and dense power to control such creatures from afar, far beyond what Chinmu had expected, and far surpassing even Hiyin's abilities. The monsters, once mere carcasses, had now become weapons under the control of this terrifying figure. With a sharp movement, Chinmu called forth his junior protector sword, wielding his vital chi to guide it. The sword danced through the air with ferocity, cleaving through the skeletons and the beasts with its swift, cutting arcs, severing them into pieces. Yet, each time he cut down a beast or shattered a skeleton, a swarm of corpse beetles would burst forth, flying into the ground or scuttling into the forest, only to reemerge in new forms, never ending. The assault seemed like a cycle with no end. Realizing the grave threat of these persistent creatures, Chinmu's scalp tingled with dread. He was running out of time, and the distance between him and the expert pursuing him was shortening. However, just as despair began to set in, Hu Linger stirred awake, startled by the chaos. Without hesitation, she summoned the demon wind, the air around her beginning to swirl into a powerful vortex. The wind grew ever more violent, sweeping through the red-furred beasts and the skeletons, tossing them aside like dried leaves in a storm. With the pressure lessened, Chinmu's speed increased. Yet his relief was short-lived when a single red corpse beetle, like an arrow from the sky, landed on his backpack and attempted to burrow into Hu Linger's nose. With a startled scream, Hu Linger scrambled out of the backpack and clung to Chinmu's shoulder, her eyes wide with fear. More beetles came buzzing over, intent on turning her into one of the red-furred beasts. The expert from the Corpse Immortal cult had identified Hu Linger's power to control the wind and was now attempting to turn her into a victim of his cursed army. In a flash, Chinmu summoned his will and cast Sunshine Refining Yang Soul in the Sky, his vital chi transforming into blazing flames. The vermilion bird vital chi formed a burning sun, its scorching rays shooting into the sky. The corpse beetles squealed in pain, their bodies starting to smoke as they dropped lifeless to the ground. Amazed by the power of his technique, Chinmu pressed forward, executing his strike as green smoke emitted from the carcasses and skeletons when the sun's rays touched them. The bones shattered and the beasts collapsed. But the danger was far from over, as the skeletons still rushed at him, their skeletal hands reaching for their own ribs, which they ripped from their bodies, turning them into deadly curved blades. With no time to spare, Chinmu swiftly executed the wave sword form once again, his blade cleaving through the whirling ribs that flew toward him. Each strike slowed his pace, but he pressed forward, determined to break free from the relentless barrage. Ahead of him, a vast field came into view, where farmers worked under the spring sun, harvesting crops. The sight of them caused Chinmu's heart to clench with urgency. He had to protect them from the oncoming horde. "Run away quickly," he called out to the startled farmers, who, upon seeing the grotesque army approaching, immediately dropped their sickles and fled. Their flight was slower than Chinmu's, and they were in danger of being caught by the beasts. As Chinmu veered off to avoid the farmers, he noticed a horse-drawn carriage ahead, with two bodyguards riding on horseback. From within the carriage, a female voice rang out, "What is this commotion outside?" The bodyguard bowed and replied, "My lord, skeletons are chasing a youth in embroidered clothes. The youth has led the skeletons onto the official road, likely to avoid harming the farmers. It appears that corpse beetles are controlling the beasts, most likely from the Corpse Immortal cult." The woman sighed and gave a command. "Bodyguard Shi, go and deal with the skeletons and the red-furred beasts. Ensure no harm comes to the commoners." Without hesitation, Bodyguard Shi retrieved a silver sword pellet from his belt, flicking his finger to send it soaring into the sky. As the sword pellet spun rapidly, it released a barrage of sharp sword lights that descended like a rain of steel. The skeletons shattered, their bones turning to powder in moments. The red-furred beasts were swiftly beheaded, and in the blink of an eye, the hundreds of creatures chasing Chinmu were annihilated. An orthodox sword skill! Chinmu marveled, his heart racing. He had seen similar techniques used by the Li River sword sect and knew the power it required. This bodyguard was clearly a formidable expert. As the scene calmed, Chinmu saw that the person in the carriage had taken notice of him. Bodyguard Shi bowed again and extended an invitation from the woman. "This young master, my lord, invites you." Chinmu approached the carriage, where the curtain was drawn back to reveal the woman inside. Her face, soft and graceful, studied him carefully. "Where are you from?" she asked, her voice warm. Chinmu replied respectfully, "I am from Dyke River County City." The woman's eyes narrowed slightly. "Has Dyke River fallen to the corpse immortal cult?" Chinmu nodded solemnly. "Yes, the city has fallen." The woman's expression softened. "I see. It must have been difficult. What are your plans now?" Chinmu hesitated before responding, "I plan to go to the capital." The woman's eyes softened with pity. "It would be wise to head to the capital. Dyke River is lost to us, and the war will only make things worse. Do you have a travel permit?" Chinmu shook his head. The woman nodded thoughtfully, then wrote out a travel permit for him. "This will allow you to pass through any city without trouble. Go quickly, and may you find safety in the capital. My elder brother is an official there. When you arrive, tell them I recommended you." "Thank you, big sister," Chinmu said, bowing deeply. The woman sighed as he left, watching him disappear down the road. A young boy, orphaned and alone. What a tragic fate. With the travel permit secured, Chinmu's path seemed a little clearer. He carefully stored the document and, with renewed determination, made his way toward the capital. His journey was far from over, but for now, he had a small reprieve. Chinmu awoke with a start in the humble inn of Tiger Sun County, his slumber shattered by a great disturbance outside. His ears caught the voice of the innkeeper, distressed and agitated. "Where did these cursed beetles come from? They swarm from every corner, and not a soul can rid us of them. These are the red corpse beetles. Officer, please, take a look and see if they pose a danger." His heart skipped a beat as his thoughts raced. In haste, Chinmu roused the little fox, packed his belongings, and prepared to leave. The innkeeper continued to converse with the officer downstairs, though the officer, a mere martial artist, was at a loss. "These beetles are common in the city. They weren't present before. With the approaching war, it seems their numbers have surged. Just trample them underfoot. They won't die. I tried boiling water and even set them on fire. They just leap around as if mocking us. One of them even crawled into a guest's mouth. He couldn't expel it no matter how he tried." Chinmu, his brow furrowed, hurried to the window and, leaving a great abundance coin on the table, opened it wide. With a swift motion, Hoolinger summoned a demon wind, carrying them both through the air, far from the chaos below. Above the city, the red corpse beetles fluttered through the air like a cloud of crimson death. Chinmu, with a flick of his fingers, sent lightning-fast strikes through the air. Each flick was like thunder cracking the heavens. The beetles nearest to him fell from the sky lifeless before they even saw him. Why does the corpse immortal cult persist like an unyielding ghost? We only killed their leader's son. Must they chase us so relentlessly? Hoolinger muttered, her frustration clear. Chinmu, landing nimbly on the ground, didn't pause. He dashed forward, snatching a few trays of steamed buns along the way. The stall keeper, about to cry out in anger, was silenced as another abundance coin flew onto his table. With a broad grin, the vendor felt his spirits lift. As Chinmu and Hoolinger devoured the buns in haste, the distant sound of the beetles grew faint. Chinmu, casting a glance over his shoulder and seeing no signs of pursuit, let out a breath of relief. With the map of Eternal Peace's geography in hand, Chinmu studied it carefully. After a quick survey of the surroundings, he determined his path and, with no further delay, increased his speed toward the capital. Meanwhile, in Tiger Sun County, the red corpse beetles, having failed to track Chinmu, scattered into the skies, flying aimlessly outward. On Flat Sun Mountain, Senior Uncle Chiao, sitting atop, furrowed his brow, calling his beetles back to him. But his attention was diverted when a solitary elder, missing an arm, walked past him, crushing one of his beetles underfoot. Senior Uncle Chow, ready to curse, paused, struck by an epiphany. These beetles are resilient, surely not so easily crushed. This elder is no ordinary man. Best not provoke him. As the elder continued, Senior Uncle Chow watched, his mind turning. There are no signs of him nearby. With the area blocked off, my beetles have already scoured the east and west. He must be heading north. Resolute, Senior Uncle Chow took flight, his swarm of beetles trailing behind him, and soon he encountered the elder once more. The elder, his hollow sleeve swaying with each step, continued his steady march northward. Senior Uncle Chow, unperturbed, let his beetles form a swirling red cloud around him, rising into the air. Some of the beetles veered off into the nearby forest, searching for traces of Chin Mu. Beneath him, the single-armed elder casually crushed yet another beetle underfoot. Why must you crush my beetles, elder? Senior Uncle Chow's tone was sharp yet tinged with restraint. The elder halted, his gaze calm. I thought these insects were free roaming. I didn't realize they were yours. My apologies. Senior Uncle Chow forced a smile, nodding in acknowledgement. One who is unaware is not to blame. Do be careful next time. But as the elder took another step, his foot came down on yet another beetle. Senior Uncle Chow's expression darkened, and his patience began to fray. His beetles hovered, their swarm descending slowly but never touching the ground, keeping their distance from the elder. The elder, indifferent, continued walking, stepping on another beetle. Senior Uncle Chow, unable to contain his fury any longer, summoned his flying zombies from the forest to surround the elder. Are you toying with me? Crushed beetles are not a matter to be taken lightly. Do you intend to mock the corpse immortal cult? The elder's calm demeanor did not falter. If it was unintentional, then I beg your pardon. But if I've offended, I shall make amends. But the elder's foot fell once more, crushing another beetle. Senior Uncle Chow, incensed now, barked, You are mocking me deliberately. Stand your ground. With a thought, the flying zombies lunged forward, their movements swift as shadows. But before they could reach the elder, a deep, resonant voice of Buddha reverberated through the air. The zombies faltered, their minds entranced by the divine aura. Senior Uncle Chow's blood ran cold as the divine presence enveloped him. He dropped to his knees, kowtowing in terror, Spare me, venerable one. The zombies, under the influence of the aura, collapsed, their movements ceased. Senior Uncle Chow's control over them was severed in an instant. Rise, the elder intoned softly, his gaze fixed upon the kowtowing man. All are fallible. When you can, forgive. With a final glance, the elder continued his journey. Senior Uncle Chow, his heart still racing, slowly stood and wiped the sweat from his brow. If only I had known. This single-armed elder is far too powerful for me to provoke. Yet once I capture that brat and seize the sword of the first-rank official, it will all be worth it. Meanwhile, Chin Mu, sprinting through the forest, came upon a small plant with 3 purple petals. He bent to pluck it, his eyes narrowing. This is Earth Origin grass. Its scent is imperceptible to both man and beast. He carefully collected the leaves and rhizome, casting aside the petals. This grass, Chin Mu continued, is the bane of insects. Its scent attracts them, and though harmless to humans, it is deadly to them. With swift precision, Chin Mu began gathering other herbs, his vital qi circulating, extracting the essence as he ran. Flames danced in his hand, roasting the herbs, while his black tortoise vital qi kept them from burning. Before he crossed the call, Chin Mu had perfected the concoction. As he washed his hands in a nearby spring, he heard the unmistakable hum of the red corpse beetles. They had followed him, their swarm descending upon the poisoned spring. As the beetles consumed the toxic water, their bodies began to rot. Senior Uncle Chow, upon seeing the devastation, rushed forward in haste. His heart sank as he realized the poison had claimed his precious beetles. He cursed himself, trembling at the thought of what had just occurred. These beetles were my greatest creation, he muttered, seething with frustration. But this poison, it's like nothing I've ever seen. Chin Mu, now far ahead, smiled faintly. This poison will decay with time, but in the meantime, it will rot them from the inside out. As long as they come in contact with it, their bodies will wither. Hulinger, her voice filled with concern, asked, Will the elder from the corpse immortal cult be poisoned as well? Chinmu's gaze was calm as he replied, "That depends on whether he touches the beetles. If he does, then he too will rot away." As the elder moved closer to the poisoned spring, Chinmu's words echoed in his mind. He would have to tread carefully, for the poison had no mercy. Senior Uncle Chiao's hand trembled as he reached for the beetle queen, but the poison was already taking hold, creeping up his arm. Desperately, he pulled at the beetles, but they were already beyond his control. Grandpa Apothecary was right, he whispered, his voice laced with defeat. When you can't win, use poison. Chinmu's plan had worked flawlessly, and now, with one final glance at his adversary, he continued on his way, the sound of his footsteps fading into the distance.